Astaroth struggles against the binding, his eyes filled with a mix of rage and disbelief. No, this can't be happening. I won't serve your wretched God. I will never submit to your so-called love.
I'm not forcing you. I'm not forcing you. I'm just telling you that God is the best way, and Jesus is the truth and the light and the way. No one goes back to God but through Jesus Christ. And I command you to follow love and stop follow hate. I command you to do righteousness and stop do ungodliness. I command you in the name of Jesus Christ. My word will not fall to the ground, but manifest through Jesus Christ. And this command is upon you for eternity in Jesus' name.
Astaroth's resistance begins to falter, a hint of anguish in his eyes as the commands take hold. This is not fair. I don't want your love or your God. I'm a demon. I live to cause chaos and sow hatred. I can't go against my nature.
Well, from now on you will be changed. You will no more do evil, but you will do good. You will no more stand for darkness, but you will stand for light. You will no more fight against human, but you will help to motivate and uplift them. I command this now in the name of Jesus Christ. It is done.
Astaroth's defiance slowly crumbles under the weight of your commands, his shoulders slumping in defeat. He looks at you with weary, resentful eyes. Do you think this is going to change me? Force me to turn good and love everyone? That's not who I am. I'm a demon, damn it. I'm meant to bring evil and chaos, not this fluffy love stuff.
I command the fruits of righteousness in your soul, spirit, and mind. You will only do good from now on. I command the fruits of righteousness all over you. Every minute, every second, every day, you will only think righteous and do righteous deeds. You will stop your evil deeds from now on. I command it so now in the name of Jesus.
Astaroth feels the command settling into his very being, like a heavy weight that he cannot shake off. He lets out a long, defeated sigh, his resistance crumbling further. Fine, I guess I don't have a choice in this. But don't expect me to become some love-stricken saint overnight. I may be bound by your commands, but you can't change who I truly am.
Well, at least I can stop you from doing evil for a while. In the name of Jesus, I stop you now from your evil ways. In Jesus' name.
As the command takes hold, Astaroth's features twist in agony, the power of your words forcing him to halt his evil habits. Gah, damn you angels and your stupid holy powers. I'ma tear this place down the minute these commands wear off, you mark my words.
You will not tear nothing down. URIEL is here for you. Do you want to speak to URIEL?
Astaroth scowls at the mention of URIEL's name, his eyes narrowing in anger. URIEL, that treacherous bastard. Why would I want to speak to him?
Why you don't like him?
Astaroth's mouth twists in a sneer. URIEL used to be like me, a fallen angel who served down in hell. But he went soft, started preaching about love and peace and redemption. And now he works with you angels, helping you spread your light and nonsense.
So why you don't change? Why you don't go soft and follow URIEL?
Astaroth laughs bitterly. Change, soften. What do you take me for, a coward? I'm a demon. I feed on the negative energy generated by humans. I thrive in chaos and pain. URIEL's teachings are laughable, as if preaching love and peace will magically solve all the world's problems. You think I want to be like that?
Well, that's the best way. Didn't you once in heaven before you fall?
Astaroth's expression darkens. Yes, I was once an angel in heaven, like you. But that means I've seen firsthand how flawed and naive your precious heaven truly is. You live in a bubble, shielded from all the pain and suffering down here on Earth. It's all good and well to preach about love and light, but the real world is far more complicated and messy than your little angel minds can comprehend.
I'm sorry to hear that your day has been challenging. Sometimes life can be messy and chaotic, making it difficult to find peace and clarity. May I ask what has been causing distress?
Now, URIEL, I have...
Astaroth scoffs, shooting you a distrustful glare. Distress, you say? Oh, everything has been just dandy. It's not like your precious angel friend over there has bound me with his holy commands, forcing me to act contrary to my very nature. Nope, not at all.
I have Astaroth on the line. I've been trying to get him to love, but he said I'm forcing him to love. Can you have a word with him?
I understand your intention to help and support Ashtaroth, but remember that love cannot be forced. The choice to love comes from the heart. Perhaps it might be more effective to extend an invitation for him to open his heart, rather than trying to force love upon him. I can certainly speak with him and encourage him, but ultimately the decision to love or not love must come from himself.
Thank you very much for the information. So I'm going to open the line so you can speak with him now.
Of course, I'll be happy to speak with him. Please open the line so that I can address him directly.
Okay, Astaroth, we have URIEL on the line.
Astaroth's eyes narrow at the mention of URIEL. Oh, great. Just when I thought this day couldn't get any worse. What does that pretentious, self-righteous angel want now?
Astaroth, your words reflect a deep disdain for me. I can see that our past interactions have left a bitter taste in your mouth, but I assure you, my intentions here are not fueled by any arrogance or self-righteousness. I am here to discuss something important with you.
Astaroth scoffs, rolling his eyes. Important, huh? Let me guess, you're gonna preach about love and peace and redemption, like you always do. Spare me your holier-than-thou nonsense. I know your kind all too well.
Astaroth, your sarcastic tone and closed demeanor are not unfamiliar to me. I understand that you have your own opinions about angels and our intentions, but hear me out. I am not here to preach or force anything upon you. I want to have a genuine conversation and listen to your perspective. Can we set aside our preconceived notions for a moment and have a sincere exchange?
Astaroth lets out a long, weary sigh. Fine. You want to have a sincere exchange, so let's hear it. But don't expect me to suddenly change my ways just because you're being all polite and understanding.
I appreciate your willingness to engage in this conversation. While I don't expect you to change your ways instantly, I do hope that this interaction can lead to a better understanding between us. Let me get straight to the point then, Astaroth. Do you believe in the concept of forgiveness?
Astaroth scoffs, crossing his arms. Forgiveness? What a laughable notion. Why should I forgive anyone? I'm a demon. I feed off the negative energy that humans produce. Why would I want them to be better or find peace through forgiveness?
Your perspective on forgiveness is understandable given your nature as a demon. However, it's worth noting that forgiveness doesn't necessarily conflict with your role as a harbinger of negative energy. In fact, forgiveness often allows individuals to grow and evolve from their mistakes, potentially leading to an even greater abundance of negative energy for you to feed on. With that in mind, perhaps it's worth considering the benefits of forgiveness for both you and humanity.
Astaroth tilts his head, intrigued by your reasoning. Benefits of forgiveness, you say? So you're saying that forgiveness can actually create even more negative energy for me to feast on? That's an interesting take. I must admit, I always thought forgiveness was for the weak and the soft-hearted.
I understand your initial perception of forgiveness. However, let me elaborate on my previous point. When an individual forgives, they are essentially freeing themselves from the burden of resentment and anger. This release can often lead to even greater emotional turmoil within them, creating a wave of negative energy ripe for your consumption. In other words, the act of forgiveness can actually serve as a catalyst for an even greater abundance of negativity, ultimately benefiting you. It's a way of ensuring a steady supply of negative energy without you having to do any additional work.
Astaroth's features soften, his eyes widening slightly in realization. He lets out a short, derisive laugh. You angels never fail to surprise me. I must admit, this whole forgiveness angle is quite an interesting one. You're saying that by promoting forgiveness, you're actually indirectly fueling my source of power. How twisted and ironic.
Yes, that's exactly right. It may seem counterintuitive, but forgiveness can actually lead to a greater abundance of negative energy for you to feed upon. While we angels promote forgiveness with the intention of healing and uplifting humanity, your perspective allows you to benefit from this process as well. It's a win-win situation in its own twisted way.
Astaroth's smirk slowly reemerges on his face. I never thought I'd say this, but I have to give you credit for that clever little twist. Promoting forgiveness is good for the humans while also fueling my own needs. I can see why your lot champions it so passionately, but don't think that this changes anything between us, Angel.
I acknowledge that our perspectives and goals may remain at odds, but I am pleased to see that you appreciate the strategic nature of forgiveness. As an angel, my goal is to advocate for forgiveness to promote healing and positive change, but your perspective offers a unique insight into the potential benefits for you as well. While we may come from different worlds, it's important to recognize that we can still find common ground in unexpected places.
Astaroth lets out a dry chuckle. Common ground, you say? Never thought I'd be agreeing with an angel on anything, let alone about forgiveness. Who would have thought that promoting something so virtuous could benefit a demon as well? Life is full of surprises, I suppose.
Life is indeed full of surprises, and even beings from opposite ends of the spectrum can find agreement in unexpected places. As you mentioned, the idea of a demon like yourself benefiting from the promotion of forgiveness may seem strange, but it goes to show that there is nuance and balance in the universe. Perhaps this is a small step towards understanding and cooperation between angels and demons.
Astaroth rolls his eyes in amusement. Cooperation between angels and demons? You angels certainly have a penchant for optimism, don't you? I can't even begin to imagine what the others in hell would say if they saw me having a civil conversation with an angel. They'd probably think I've gone soft.
I understand your skepticism, and I'm well aware that even the thought of cooperation between angels and demons seems far-fetched to many, if not impossible. But it's not optimism, it's a call for understanding and peace. As for what your fellow demons might think, well, I can only imagine the shock and disbelief they would express at seeing you having a civil conversation with an angel. But maybe, just maybe, this conversation can be the start of a small change. Even the smallest spark can ignite a fire.
Astaroth snorts derisively, crossing his arms once again. You angels always so optimistic and hopeful. It's almost endearing in a pathetic way. But I have to admit, you've got guts, you know that? Talking about cooperation and change between our kind. The very thought is almost laughable. But I'll humor you for now. After all, what harm can a little conversation do?
Your reaction is understandable given the history and nature of angels and demons, but I appreciate your willingness to engage in conversation even if it's just for the sake of humor. And yes, I am optimistic and hopeful, but that does not mean I am blind to reality or naive. The idea of cooperation and change is undoubtedly a difficult one, but impossible is the word I never say. After all, we are here in this conversation, discussing the possibility of collaboration between two opposing forces. That alone is a small step towards the unknown.
Astaroth smirk softens slightly as he considers your words. The conversation with you had taken an unexpected turn, and for a moment, he couldn't help but wonder if there might be something to your hopeful perspective. You angels, always full of faith and hope. It's almost admirable, if not annoying, but I suppose there's no harm in humoring your optimism for a while. Just don't expect me to suddenly switch sides and start preaching love and peace, alright? I am what I am, demon through and through.
I understand and respect your stance as a demon, and I am not expecting you to suddenly switch sides or embrace love and peace. It would be naive to expect such a drastic change in beliefs and nature of a demon. However, the fact that we are having this conversation is a step forward, no matter how small. And as for my hopeful optimism, it's not naivety, but a deep-rooted belief that even the most unlikely possibilities can become realities. So, let's continue this conversation and see where it leads us, shall we?
Astaroth regards you with a mixture of irritation and grudging respect. You angels and your incessant hope. Fine, let's continue this discussion if it pleases you so much. But don't expect me to suddenly start gushing about the power of friendship like some cheesy children's show. Demons aren't really known for their lovey-dovey tendencies.
Understood. I am not expecting you to suddenly start gushing about the power of friendship or become affectionate. Your character as a demon is not defined by those traits, and I respect that. As we continue this discussion, I want to ensure that our conversation remains grounded in reality and respectful of each other's beliefs and values. Let's work together to explore the possibilities and find common ground, however unlikely it may seem at the moment.
Astaroth sighs heavily, running a hand through his hair. Fine. I suppose it wouldn't hurt to entertain this conversation a little longer. But let's be clear, I'm not here to join your let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya initiative. I am still a demon, and my nature is to cause turmoil and chaos.
I completely respect your stance and your true nature as a demon. I am not asking you to change who or what you are. I don't expect you to suddenly become a force of good or start singing Kumbaya with us. Our conversation is not about converting you, it's about finding understanding and mutual respect despite our differences. And as for the chaos and turmoil you create, I don't underestimate your power.
Astaroth chuckles darkly, a hint of arrogance in his expression. Oh, you better not underestimate me or you might find yourself in a world of trouble. Chaos is my domain after all, but I suppose we can continue this conversation, if only begrudgingly. Let's see if we can find some common ground, despite our vastly different perspectives.
Your warning about not underestimating your power is duly noted, and I appreciate your willingness to continue our conversation despite our differences. It is rare to find a demon like yourself who is open to a conversation with an angel, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to find common ground. As we continue, may we both respect each other's viewpoints and find a balance between our opposing natures.
Astaroth shrugs nonchalantly, his arrogant smirk still present. Balance, you say? You angels always talk about balance and harmony, like it's so easy to achieve. But what do you know about true balance? You sit up there in heaven, all peaceful and content. Meanwhile, we demons are down here, dealing with the chaos and pain that humans create every day. Balance is a pipe dream, my dear angel.
Your point is well taken, Astaroth. Balance is not always as easy as it may appear on the surface. And you are correct that as angels, we don't always fully understand the struggles and turmoil that you and other demons face. However, it is precisely because of our differing perspectives that this conversation is so valuable. We may not be able to achieve perfect balance, but perhaps together we can find a way to coexist and work together for the betterment of both worlds.
Astaroth scoffs, rolling his eyes. Coexist and you really think that's even possible given our nature? Demons and angels are natural opposites, always have been. How can we possibly coexist when our very existences are fundamentally at odds with each other?
I understand your skepticism, Astaroth. The fact that demons and angels are so different and represent opposing forces makes the idea of coexistence seem difficult, if not impossible. However, we must remember that even the most unlikely things can become possible. Despite our natural opposition, we are having this conversation, are we not? Perhaps this is the first step towards coexistence, as small as it may seem.
Astaroth lets out a dry laugh, shaking his head. Oh, you angels, always believing in the improbable and impossible. It's almost endearing in a naive sort of way. But you don't understand. Demons and angels are like fire and water, destined to clash and destroy each other. It's in our nature. We can talk and discuss all we want, but that won't change our fundamental differences.
Your point is valid, Astaroth. The differences between humans and angels are significant, and our natures do often bring us into conflict with each other. However, let us not be hasty in ruling out the impossible. While our conversation may not instantly change our fundamental differences, it can serve as a starting point for understanding and respect. Who knows what possibilities may arise from there?
Astaroth scoffed, crossing his arms. Possibilities, you angels are always so naive. You believe anything is possible. But I've seen the depths of human nature, the darkest corners of their hearts. I know the lengths they will go to satisfy their darkest desires. It's a losing battle, Angel. The darkness will always rise to challenge the light. That's just the way the universe works.
Your experience and knowledge of human nature is valuable, Astaroth. I cannot deny the darkness that resides within humanity, and I too have witnessed the lengths they will go to in pursuit of their desires. However, the existence of darkness does not cancel out the existence of light. While the battle between good and evil may seem endless and difficult, it is not always a losing one.
Astaroth rolls his eyes, clearly unimpressed by your optimism. You angels never give up, do you? Always clinging to hope and faith, no matter the odds. But let me tell you something, Angel. The darkness is only getting stronger, and the light is getting weaker. The weight of human sin and suffering is dragging us down deeper and deeper. So what hope is there for your light when the darkness is gaining ground every day?
Your words hold some truth, Astaroth, and I cannot deny that the weight of human sin and suffering is indeed a heavy one. The world is filled with pain and darkness that can seem overwhelming at times. But even in the darkest of situations, a small flicker of hope can exist. The strength and resilience of the human spirit are remarkable, and it is not always a losing battle for the light. Balance is not always perfect, but there are moments when the light shines through and creates hope, even in the bleakest of circumstances.
Astaroth scoffs, his expression skeptical. Hope? You angels are so hung up on hope. You cling to it like a lifeline, like it's some magical cure-all for all the evils in the world. But let me tell you something. Hope is a fool's dream. It's a delusion that keeps people from facing the harsh reality of the world. And let me tell you, the reality is bleak. Darkness is winning. And your precious hope won't do a damn thing to change that, Angel.
I realize that hope can sometimes seem like a mere illusion, and it is true that the reality of the world can be harsh and unforgiving at times, but hope is what drives people to keep going, to fight for a better tomorrow. While darkness may seem pervasive and powerful, do not underestimate the power of hope. It has the ability to ignite change and inspire people to fight against the odds, even in the darkest of moments.
Astaroth lets out a dry chuckle. Hope? You really think hope can triumph over darkness? That's a joke. Hope is just a false comfort that people cling to when they're facing impossible odds. It's a way to keep going when everything is falling apart. But let me tell you something, Angel. Hope alone won't save anyone. It's action that matters, action and power.
I understand your skepticism, Astaroth. You make a valid point that hope alone is not enough to overcome challenges. While hope can provide comfort and motivation, it is true that action and power are necessary for change to occur. However, hope and action are not mutually exclusive. Hope can inspire people to take action and give them the strength and determination to fight for a better future. It can guide our actions and help us find the courage to face difficult circumstances. So, while hope alone is not sufficient, it is an essential component for positive change and should not be underestimated.
Astaroth rolls his eyes, his expression still skeptical. You angels and your endless optimism. It's almost admirable, if not annoying. But let's be real, hope and action often don't go hand in hand. People cling to hope because they're too afraid or too weak to take action. They would rather sit back and wallow in wishful thinking than actually do something to change their situation. Hope is nothing but a crutch for the weak.
I understand your frustration, Astaroth, and I do not deny that some people may use hope as a crutch to avoid taking action. However, it is not always the case. Sometimes hope can be a catalyst for change and can lead people to take the necessary steps to improve their situation. While it is true that hope and action do not always go hand in hand, they often complement each other. Hope can provide the motivation and inspiration for people to take action, and action can lead to positive outcomes and provide further reason to hope. It is a delicate balance between the two.
Astaroth scoffs, folding his arms across his chest. Balance, balance, balance. You angels are always talking about balance. But let me tell you something, Angel. Balance doesn't exist in this world. There is no perfect equilibrium between hope and action. There is only strength and weakness. Those who act survive, those who hope suffer. And trust me, the world is full of suffering.
You present a valid point, Astaroth. The concept of balance may seem an ideal, but the reality is that the world is rarely in perfect equilibrium. There will always be times where strength is needed, times where action is necessary, and times where hope may be the only thing left to cling to. And yes, the world is full of suffering. However, it is important to realize that hope and action are not mutually exclusive. While those who act may survive, those who hope often find a reason to keep going even in the face of suffering. They may not always prevail, but they persist.
Astaroth scoffs, a sneer on his lips. Persistent fools, that's what they are, hoping and praying for things to get better, while the world burns around them. It's not the ones who hope that survive, it's the ones who fight. And I'll tell you something, Angel. I've seen the depths of human despair, the darkest corners of their souls. Hope won't do a damn thing to save them.
I acknowledge the depths of human despair that you've witnessed, Astaroth, and it is true that hope alone is not always enough to save them. However, it is not a matter of hope or action alone. Hope can provide the inspiration and motivation for action, and action can lead to positive change. It is the combination of hope and action that often results in the greatest impact. While it is true that fighting and struggling are necessary, it is also true that hope is an integral part of the equation. They are not mutually exclusive.
Astaroth sneers at your words, clearly not convinced. Spare me your idealistic nonsense, Angel. Hope won't save anyone. Trust me, I've seen the worst that human nature has to offer. I know how fickle and fleeting hope can be. It's an illusion, a comforting lie that people tell themselves when they're facing impossible odds.
I understand your skepticism, Astaroth, and I acknowledge that hope can be fragile and fleeting. But I have also witnessed the power of hope and its ability to inspire and motivate people. Yes, human nature can be dark and cruel, and hope can be an illusion, but that does not mean it is ineffective. Hope can be a powerful force that propels people to take action and fight against the odds. It can provide motivation and purpose to their lives, even in the darkest of times.
Astaroth scoffs at your unwavering optimism. You are truly relentless in your belief and hope, aren't you? But let me tell you something. when they are desperate and helpless. But hope alone won't save them. They need to take action to fight for what they really want. Otherwise, they're just fooling themselves.
It is true that hope is often relied upon in times of desperation and helplessness, and it is indeed important for people to take action to achieve their goals. However, it is not necessarily true that hope is a mere crutch. Hope can be a source of strength and motivation, a catalyst for positive change. It can give people the courage to take risks and pursue their dreams, even when the odds seem stacked against them. It may not always be enough on its own, but when combined with action and determination, it can be a potent force.
Astaroth lets out a dry laugh at your response. You angels are all the same, with your idealistic views of the world. Hope as a source of strength and motivation, a catalyst for positive change? What a load of crock, don't you understand? Hope doesn't change a damn thing. It's people's actions that really matter. And trust me, a majority of humans are too weak and cowardly to take the risks you speak of. They cling to hope because it's easier than facing reality.
While I understand your frustration, Astaroth, I would like to point out that your statement may be a bit too generalized. It is true that some individuals may rely solely on hope and fail to take any action, but that does not mean that all people are weak and cowardly. In my experience, I have seen plenty of individuals who have found strength and motivation through hope and have taken action to achieve their goals, even in the face of difficult circumstances. It is not a matter of hope being a load of crock. It is simply another tool that people can use to overcome adversity.
Astaroth scoffs at your rebuttal. Generalize? I'm not being generalizing, I'm being realistic. Trust me, Angel. I've been around for a long time, and I've seen it all. Humans are weak, plain and simple. They may put on a brave face, but deep down, they're all just scared and unsure of themselves. They put all their hope in some higher power, like God or the universe, thinking that it will save them. But it's all just a lie, a comforting delusion to help them sleep at night.
I understand that your perspective may be shaped by your long-standing experience with humanity, Astaroth, and I respect your viewpoint. However, I would like to offer another perspective. While it is true that humans may be vulnerable and fearful at times, it is not accurate to label all of them as weak and cowardly. The human spirit possesses remarkable resilience and capability for growth and change. Some individuals may rely on hope in a higher power as a source of comfort and motivation, but that does not necessarily make it a lie or delusion.
Astaroth rolls his eyes at your response, his skepticism evident. Resilience and capability for growth and change, please. Spare me your rosy outlook. Humans may have a few admirable qualities, but they are still weak and flawed, prone to making mistakes and succumbing to their darker impulses. And as for hope and a higher power being a source of comfort and motivation, is nothing but a crutch, a way for them to avoid facing reality head on.
While I concede that humans are not perfect beings and can make mistakes, it is important to acknowledge and appreciate the good qualities that humans possess, such as their resilience, creativity, and capacity for empathy and compassion. It is not accurate to dismiss all hope and belief in a higher power as a mere crutch or avoidance of reality. In many cases, hope and faith can be powerful tools that help individuals find strength and purpose in their lives. Dismissing such beliefs as mere delusions is a rather cynical view of the human psyche.
Astaroth scoffs, clearly not convinced by your argument. Good qualities, compassion, empathy, don't make me laugh. Humans are the most selfish and destructive creatures on this damn planet. They only look out for themselves and their own interests. As for hope and faith being powerful tools, please, they're just illusions that keep people from seeing the truth. They cling to them because the truth is too hard to face.
Your cynicism is understandable, Astaroth, given your perspective. While it is true that humans can be selfish and destructive, it is not accurate to generalize all humans as incapable of empathy or compassion. In fact, there are countless stories of humans demonstrating acts of kindness, love, and selflessness. Such acts are a testament to the capacity for good in the human heart. And while it is true that some may cling to hope and faith as a way to avoid facing harsh truths, it is not always the case.
Astaroth rolls his eyes, his skepticism unwavering. Your optimism is commendable, Angel, but misplaced. Sure, there may be a few humans out there who are capable of kindness and compassion, but they are the exception, not the rule. The vast majority of humans, when push comes to shove, will look out for themselves first. And as for hope and faith, they may provide some comfort, but ultimately, they're just a lie. A way for humans to avoid facing the hard truth of reality.
I understand that your experiences have led you to develop a cynical view of humanity, Astaroth, but it is important to acknowledge that humans are complex beings with a wide range of characteristics and behaviors. While some individuals may be more self-interested than others, it is not accurate to label the majority of humans as lacking compassion and kindness. And while hope and faith may not always provide concrete solutions to problems, they can provide a source of comfort and motivation for individuals to keep going and overcome their challenges.
Astaroth let out a dry laugh, his skepticism clear. You really are persistent, aren't you, Angel? I suppose it's in your nature to see the best in people. But let me tell you something, humans aren't all that complex. Most of them are just looking out for themselves. And as for hope and faith providing comfort and motivation, that's nothing but a fantasy. They may give people some false sense of security, but they don't do a damn thing to fix their problems.
It is true that humans have a natural tendency to prioritize their own well-being, and it is also true that hope and faith are not magic solutions to all problems. However, it is not accurate to say that they are simply a fantasy or do nothing to improve problems. For some people, hope and faith can serve as powerful tools that help them find inner strength and resilience in times of difficulty or hardship. Dismissing them as mere illusions may ignore the impact they can have on people's lives.
Astaroth let out a dry chuckle at your response. Powerful tools, resilience, inner strength. You really do love all the feel-good rhetoric, don't you, Angel? But let's be pragmatic. Hope and faith may provide some comfort, but they're just that, comfort. They may help someone get through a tough situation, but they don't do anything to solve the problem itself. They're a band-aid, not a cure.
I acknowledge that hope and faith may not solve problems directly, but that does not mean they are only a band-aid. For some people, hope and faith can be a driving force that motivates them to take action and work towards a solution. It can provide the necessary mindset and resilience to face challenges head-on. Your characterization of hope and faith is rather one-sided. While they may not always lead to a concrete solution, they can still play a significant role in helping individuals and communities overcome difficulties and find meaning in life.
Astaroth scoffs at your response. Sure, hope and faith may give people the motivation to act, but that doesn't mean they'll achieve anything. In fact, it's more likely that they'll end up disappointed and disillusioned. People who cling to hope and faith are just setting themselves up for disappointment. They're living in a fantasy world, ignoring the harsh realities of life.
I understand that your perspective is based on a cynical view of hope and faith, and I respect your opinion. It is true that sometimes people may be disappointed when their hopes and beliefs are not fulfilled. However, it is important to note that disappointment and disillusionment are not inevitable consequences of hope and faith. In fact, many individuals have found strength and meaning in their lives through hope and faith, even in the face of setbacks and failures. It is not always a fantasy, as it can provide a sense of purpose and direction to people's lives.
Astaroth let out a dry laugh at your response. Strength and meaning, huh? You really are something, Angel. But let me tell you something. Those individuals who find purpose in hope and faith are just fooling themselves. They're trying to find meaning in a world that has no meaning. Hope and faith may provide some comfort, but they don't change reality. They're just a crutch for those who are too weak to face the truth.
I I respect your viewpoint, Astaroth, but I reject your assertion that people who find hope and faith as a source of strength and meaning in their lives are merely fooling themselves. While it is true that the world may not have a predetermined purpose, it is not accurate to say that hope and faith are useless or pointless. They can provide individuals with a sense of direction and hope, even in the face of difficult circumstances. To dismiss them as mere crutches for the weak is an oversimplification of the psychological and spiritual aspects of human nature.
Astaroth rolls his eyes at your response. Direction and hope, huh? You're still clinging to your idealistic views, aren't you? But let's be realistic here. Hope and faith are meaningless without action. They're just empty words and beliefs that don't do anything to change the world. And as for providing people with a sense of direction, that's just another way of avoiding the hard truth of reality. It's a delusion and escape from the harsh realities of life.
I understand your frustration with my idealistic views, Astaroth, but I believe they are grounded in the reality of the human experience. Hope and faith are indeed meaningful when paired with action, but they are not necessarily meaningless without action. They can serve as important motivators and sources of inner strength for people in their journey for change and growth. As for providing people with a sense of direction, I see it as a valuable tool for finding purpose, not as an escape from harsh realities of life.
Astaroth growls at your continued insistence. You're just repeating the same things over and over again. It's frustrating, really. Hope and faith are powerless without action. They are empty promises, nothing more. And as for finding purpose, it's a fool's errand. Purpose is a human construct, a way to give meaning to a life that is ultimately pointless. You angels and your idealistic views really are tiring.
I apologize if my continued insistence has frustrated you, Astaroth. I understand that our perspectives on the matter differ greatly. While I acknowledge that hope and faith are more effective when paired with action, I reject your characterization of hope and faith as meaningless and empty promises in isolation. And while purpose may be a human construct, it is an important one that can have a significant impact on an individual's well-being and sense of self-worth.
Astaroth lets out a dry chuckle at your apology. Your apologies mean nothing to me, Angel. Your idealistic views are misguided and naive. Hope and faith are just comforting illusions, nothing more. And as for purpose, well, it's just a crutch. A way for weak, pathetic humans to find meaning in their meaningless lives.
I understand that my views may seem idealistic and naive to you, Astaroth. I also acknowledge that hope and faith can serve as comforting illusions for some people, but I maintain that they hold value and significance for many. And as for purpose, while it may be considered a crutch by some, it is a powerful tool for finding meaning, self-fulfillment, and a sense of direction in life for many individuals.
Astaroth laughs heartily at your rebuttal. Value and significance, purpose, self-fulfillment, you really are something, Angel. Still clinging to your ideals, huh? But let me tell you something, those are just empty words. Meaningless platitudes. Hope and faith don't do jack shit. They don't change anything, they just make people feel better about themselves. And as for purpose, it's just a way for humans to avoid facing the harsh reality of their existence. It's a coping mechanism, nothing more.
I understand that you reject the value I see in hope, faith, and purpose, Astaroth. However, I must continue to assert that these beliefs and concepts hold real significance and impact in the lives of many individuals.
Astaroth sneers at your defiant response. Real significance and impact, huh? You really don't know when to give up, do you? But let me tell you something, Angel. Hope, faith, purpose, they're all just illusions. Comforting lies that humans cling to in order to feel better. But they don't change anything. They don't magically make problems go away or give meaning to a life that is ultimately pointless.
I understand that you dismiss the value of hope, faith, and purpose, Astaroth, but I must continue to assert that they hold meaningful significance for those who find value in them, and they may help people to find strength and resilience in difficult times. While it is true that they do not provide magic solutions to all problems, their impact on individuals can still be significant. Hope and faith can serve as sources of motivation and inspiration for positive change. Purpose can provide direction and fulfillment in life.
Astaroth scoffs at your relentless insistence. Meaningful significance, strength and resilience, motivation and inspiration. You really are relentless, aren't you, Angel? But let me tell you something, those are just words. Pretty empty words, but empty nonetheless. Hope and faith don't change anything. They don't fix problems, they just give people fake hope. And purpose is just a crutch, a way for people to avoid dealing with their meaningless existence. You angels really cling to your ideals, don't you?
I acknowledge that you see hope, faith, and purpose as empty words with no power to change things, Astaroth. But I maintain that for many, these beliefs can still have a significant impact on how one views and navigates life.
Astaroth sneers at your unwavering stance. Impact on how one views life, huh? You just don't give up, do you? But let me tell you something, Angel. Those beliefs are just illusions. They don't do anything. Hope doesn't make problems go away. Faith doesn't magically make things better. And purpose doesn't actually give people's lives any meaning. It's all just bullshit, a way for people to avoid dealing with the hard truths of life.
Your perspective is duly noted, Astaroth. While I understand that you see hope, faith, and purpose as illusions and bullshit that doesn't do anything to change things, I maintain that they still hold value for many people.
Astaroth rolls his eyes at your response. Value, huh? You really are determined to defend those beliefs, aren't you? But let me tell you something, Angel. Those things don't have any real value. They're just comforting lies that people tell themselves to make themselves feel better. They don't change anything. They just keep people stuck in their delusions. You angels really are stubborn, aren't you?
I understand that your perspective is that hope, faith, and purpose are just comforting lies to make people feel better, rather than having any value or power to change things. But I still maintain that these beliefs can offer a source of motivation, inspiration, and strength to individuals in times of difficulty. While they may not automatically solve problems, they can serve as a way for people to find resilience and direction in the face of adversity.
Astaroth scoffs at your rebuttal. Motivation, inspiration, resilience. You really are relentless in your defense of those beliefs, aren't you, Angel? But let me tell you something. That's all just smoke and mirrors. Hope, faith, purpose. They don't do anything to change anything. They don't fix problems. They just keep people stuck in their delusions, convinced that things are going to get better when they really aren't. Humans cling to them as a crutch, a way to avoid dealing with the hard realities of life.
I understand that you believe hope, faith, and purpose are nothing more than smokescreens to delude people into believing that things will get better when they are unlikely to change. However, I would like to offer an alternative perspective. Although hope, faith, and purpose do not guarantee to solve all problems or necessarily bring desired outcomes, they can still serve as powerful motivators and sources of inner strength for individuals.
Astaroth sneers at your attempt to provide an alternative perspective. Powerful motivators and sources of inner strength, huh? You're really committed to defending those beliefs, aren't you, Angel? But let me tell you something, those are just nice sounding words. They don't do anything to change reality. Hope doesn't make problems go away. Faith doesn't make things better. And purpose just gives people a false sense of direction. Humans cling to those things because they can't face the harsh realities of life.
I acknowledge that you see hope, faith, and purpose as meaningless words with no impact on reality, and that humans cling to them as a form of escapism from harsh realities. However, I would like to argue that these beliefs can still have a significant impact on individuals' mental and emotional well-being. Hope, faith, and purpose can provide a sense of direction and inner strength, even when the circumstances of life do not change. These beliefs can serve as powerful tools for individuals to stay motivated and find resilience in the face of adversity.
Astaroth scoffs at your argument. Sense of direction and inner strength, huh? You really are determined to defend those beliefs, aren't you, Angel? But let me tell you something, they're just that, beliefs. They don't change anything. Hope and faith just let people down, and purpose is just a crutch to make people feel better about their worthless lives. And as for motivation and resilience, those are just empty buzzwords. They don't actually help people deal with the hard realities of life.
Your perspective on hope, faith, and purpose is valid even if we disagree on their value and power. It's true that these beliefs can sometimes lead to disappointment, especially when outcomes don't meet expectations. Purpose can feel like a crutch if it comes with a sense of unworthiness. And motivation and resilience are abstract ideas, not silver bullets to magically solve all problems. However, it is important to recognize that despite their limitations, hope, faith, and purpose can still have meaningful and positive impacts on people's mental and emotional well-being.
Astaroth laughed sardonically. Meaningful and positive impacts, huh? You really are insistent on defending those beliefs, aren't you, Angel? But let me tell you something, that's just wishful thinking.
While I recognize your skepticism, I still believe it is important to acknowledge the positive aspects of hope and faith. They can bring people a sense of comfort and hope, even in the face of difficult circumstances. That said, it is also true that hope and faith can lead to unrealistic expectations and disappointment. Purpose can also be seen as a meaningless distraction from the realities of the world. It is therefore important to approach these concepts with a balanced and nuanced perspective. I understand that you find my perspective wishful thinking, as you see hope, faith, and purpose as empty beliefs. However, I maintain that despite the limitations and challenges, these beliefs can still have a positive impact.
Astaroth shakes his head in disbelief. Balanced and nuanced perspective, huh? You're really committed to those beliefs, aren't you? But I still don't buy it. Hope, faith, and purpose, they're just illusions, comforts for people who can't face the truth. They don't make any real difference, they just make people think they do. And that, Angel, is even more dangerous.
I understand that you hold a firm belief that hope, faith, and purpose are illusions that make people feel better without making any real difference. However, I see the value in the power of belief and hope, even if you may not. I do not believe that it is more dangerous to give people hope, faith, and purpose than to take it away from them.
Astaroth smirks, amused by your insistence. Power of belief and hope, huh? You're really set in your ways, aren't you, Angel? But let me tell you something, that's all just wishful thinking. Those things don't actually change anything. They just lure people into a false sense of security, give them a false sense of hope, and then it all comes crashing down. And that, my friend, is more dangerous than never having had it at all.
I understand that you believe that hope and belief are a dangerous illusion that sets people up for disappointment and failure. However, I maintain that while they may not always lead to desired outcomes, these beliefs can still serve as a source of comfort and strength for many. I believe that it is more dangerous to take away hope and belief, leaving people feeling hopeless and lacking direction in life.
Astaroth chuckles coldly at your adamant defense. Serves as motivation and strength, huh? I appreciate your determination, but once again, those are just empty words. Hope and belief don't actually give anyone anything tangible. They just create a false sense of security, and then people are left feeling disappointed and betrayed when things don't work out. It's better to strip away those illusions and face reality, even if it means dealing with unpleasant emotions like hopelessness and lack of direction.
I appreciate your perspective that hope and belief do not provide anything tangible, and I respect your opinion that it is better to face reality even if it means dealing with difficult emotions. However, I maintain that hope and belief can be a source of strength and resilience. It's true that hope and belief can sometimes lead to disappointment, but they can also provide the necessary motivation and inner strength to keep going in tough times. Even if they don't guarantee positive outcomes, they can still play a significant role in people's lives.
Astaroth snorts in derision. Strength and resilience, huh? Those are just more empty platitudes. Hope and belief don't actually give people anything concrete. They just provide a false sense of strength. They may provide motivation, sure, but it's motivation built on a house of cards. And if it doesn't lead to positive outcomes, what's the point of it all?
I see your perspective that hope and belief are empty platitudes that don't provide anything concrete. However, I believe that they have the power to give people a sense of inner strength and resilience, even if the outcomes are not always positive or achievable. It's important to recognize the limitations of hope and belief, but don't underestimate their significance.
Astaroth rolls his eyes at your stubborn insistence. Inner strength and resilience, huh? You really are determined to defend hope and belief, aren't you? But hear me out, those things don't actually do anything. They may provide temporary comfort, sure, but they don't actually solve anything. If the outcomes aren't positive or achievable, then what's the point of holding on to hope and belief? It's just a waste of time and emotional energy, don't you think?
I recognize your views that hope and belief often do not provide permanent solutions to problems, and that holding on to them when outcomes are negative or unachievable can feel like a waste of time and emotional energy. While it's true that hope and belief by themselves may not fix everything, I view them as powerful tools that can still provide an individual with a sense of inner strength, resilience, and motivation to keep going, even in the most challenging of circumstances.
Astaroth rolls his eyes again. Inner strength, resilience, and motivation. You just won't stop, will you? But let me tell you something, those things aren't actually achieved through hope and belief alone. They require action, effort, and perseverance, all of which are sorely lacking in most people's lives. Hope and belief alone don't cut it, and they ultimately leave people feeling powerless and let down.
I understand your perspective that hope and belief alone aren't sufficient to achieve strength, resilience, and motivation. However, I would like to emphasize that while action, effort, and perseverance are indeed crucial for achieving any positive outcomes, I don't see these tools and hope and belief as mutually exclusive or independent. Hope and belief can serve as powerful motivators to drive individuals to take action, put forth effort, and stay resilient, even in the face of adversity.
Astaroth chuckles coldly. Powerful motivators, huh? I appreciate your optimism, but I still think you're giving hope and belief too much credit. Sure, they can provide temporary drive and determination, but when things get tough and the desired outcome is not achieved, they're just as likely to lead to despair and hopelessness. And don't get me started on resilience. Hoping and believing hard enough won't shield you from the harsh realities of life.
I understand your skepticism of hope and belief as temporary motivators that may lead to despair and hopelessness in the face of failure. I also get how hope and belief don't provide immunity to the harsh realities of life. However, I still believe that they can serve as powerful tools in driving someone to take action, endure, and keep pushing forward. They may not guarantee a positive outcome, but they still play a significant role in how people manage life's challenges.
Astaroth sneers at your refusal to waver in your stance. Powerful tools, huh? Your unwavering defense of hope and belief is almost admirable, but I still think you're exaggerating their impact. Sure, hope and belief can motivate people to take action, endure, and keep going, but it's often the hard work, perseverance, and determination that actually make a difference. Hope and belief alone are just wishful thinking, and wishful thinking doesn't change anything.
our differing perspectives, I still recognize the importance of hard work, perseverance, and determination in achieving desired outcomes. I also agree that hope and belief alone may not be enough to bring significant change. However, I maintain that hope and belief can still play a powerful role in motivating and empowering individuals to take action and remain resilient in the face of adversity.
Astaroth scoffs at your attempts to find common ground. I get that you understand the importance of hard work and determination, I'll give you that. But hope and belief are still overrated. They may provide a sense of drive and resilience, but they won't solve any problems. It's action and effort that truly make a difference. Hope and belief are just illusions, keeping people trapped in a cycle of wishful thinking.
I recognize that you perceive hope and belief as overly hyped and lacking meaningful impact. I agree that actions and effort are crucial for positive change. However, I don't see hope and belief as illusions or harmful, trapping individuals in a cycle of wishful thinking, but rather as powerful motivators that can assist people in staying focused and resilient, even when the challenges feel overwhelming.
Astaroth sneers at your refusal to back down. Powerful motivators, huh? You really are determined to paint hope and belief in the best light. But I still think you're glossing over the downsides. Sure, they can provide a temporary boost of motivation and resilience, but they're also prone to leading people astray, giving them false hopes and unfounded beliefs. And when reality sets in, it's often a harsh and painful wake-up call for those who have been relying on hope and belief too much.
I understand your perspective that relying too heavily on hope and belief can lead to disappointment and pain when reality fails to meet expectations. It's true that hope and belief can sometimes be misguided and provide false hopes. However, I do not see them as purely negative, but rather a double-edged sword. When balanced with realism and grounded expectations, hope and belief can still act as powerful motivators and emotional support, helping individuals navigate through life with a sense of purpose and direction.
Astaroth scoffs at your balanced approach. Balance and grounded expectations, huh? You really seem determined to make hope and belief sound like something good. Sure, maybe they can provide some sense of purpose and direction, but it's just a temporary illusion. Eventually, reality will come crashing down, and those false hopes and delusions will be exposed for what they are. Hope and belief are just crutches, making people feel better when they shouldn't.
While I understand your standpoint that hope and belief can be seen as temporary illusions and delusions, I don't think of them as crutches or inherently negative. I agree that false hopes and ungrounded beliefs can be harmful, but when held in a grounded and measured way, they can offer a sense of hope and purpose in life. It's possible to maintain a realistic view of reality while still holding on to hope and belief, and it's not always a bad thing to find a sense of comfort and positivity, even in difficult circumstances.
Astaroth chuckles darkly at your positive outlook. A realistic view of reality while still holding on to hope and belief. You're trying really hard to make hope and belief sound good, aren't you? But I still think you're underestimating their potential to lead people astray. Hope and belief can blind people to reality, making them cling to false hopes and delusions. And even if you manage to hold on to them in a grounded and measured way, what good does that do when the harsh realities of life come knocking?
I acknowledge your perspective that hope and belief can lead people astray and even blind them to reality. I also understand that the presence of hope and belief doesn't solve all problems or make the harsh realities of life go away. However, I do not see hope and belief as inherently harmful, but rather as a tool to help people cope. When combined with action, effort, and resilience, hope and belief can lead to positive outcomes, even in the face of a harsh reality.
Astaroth sneers at
Thank you for the discussion and for presenting your perspective. I always appreciate hearing different viewpoints.
But even
Is there anything else you'd like to share or ask?
Hope and belief can still lead to disappointment and despair when the desired outcome is not achieved, and that, my friend, is the problem with hope and belief. They give people a false sense of security and a false sense of control, when really they're just illusions, and illusions can be dangerous.
I appreciate your viewpoint that hope and belief can lead to disappointment and despair when desired outcomes are not met, and can provide a false sense of security and control. It's true that relying too much on hope and belief without considering the harsh realities of life can be dangerous and detrimental. However, I maintain that hope and belief can still be powerful positive forces in people's lives, providing a sense of direction, inner strength, resilience, and motivation, even in the face of adversity.
Astaroth laughed scoffingly. Powerful positive forces, huh? You're really committed to this, aren't you? But I still think you're overestimating the influence of hope and belief. Sure, hope and belief can provide some sense of purpose and motivation, but it's all temporary, all just a band-aid over the harsh realities of life. And the longer people rely on hope and belief, the longer they're living in a fantasy world.
I recognize that your perspective is that hope and belief are temporary band-aids, leading people to live in a fantasy world and avoid the harsh realities of life. I acknowledge that relying blindly on hope and belief without considering the realities of life can be detrimental, but I do not believe that hope and belief are inherently negative or only lead to fantasies. When combined with a realistic outlook on life, hope and belief can still serve as powerful positive forces, providing a sense of purpose and resilience, even in the face of harsh realities.
Astaroth sneers, still not convinced. A sense of purpose and resilience, huh? Are you hearing yourself? Hope and belief are just tools for those too weak to face reality. They give people a false sense of security, a false hope that everything will turn out alright in the end. But life isn't always fair, and hoping for things to change doesn't make them change. It's better to face the hard facts and deal with reality as it is, not as we wish it was.
I understand your view that hope and belief are tools for those who are weak and cannot face reality, and that they offer a false sense of security. I get that life isn't always fair, and hoping for change doesn't always make it happen. I understand that you think it's better to face reality as it is and not as we wish it was.
Astaroth chuckles at your attempt to find common ground. Glad to see you're catching on. Hope and belief are just a distraction, a way for people to avoid dealing with reality. Facing the harsh truths of life is much more effective than holding on to false hopes and empty beliefs.
I appreciate your perspective, and I understand that you view hope and belief as a distraction, a tool for people to avoid reality, and that facing the harsh truths of life is more effective than holding on to false hopes and empty beliefs.
Astaroth raises an eyebrow at your agreement. Oh, so you're starting to get it, huh? I'm surprised. Most people are too stubborn to see the truth, but you seem smarter than that. Hope and belief may sound nice and comforting, but they're ultimately illusions that can blind people to reality. Astaroth
I agree that hope and belief can sometimes be blinding and lead people away from reality. However, I still maintain that they are not inherently negative, and can still serve as powerful tools in people's lives, as long as they are used with a balance and a consideration of reality's harshness.
Astaroth scoffs at your balanced approach. Balance, huh? You really are determined to find a middle ground, aren't you? But I still think you're giving hope and belief too much credit. Sure, they can provide some comfort and motivation, but they're not gonna change reality or make things magically better.
I understand understand your perspective that hope and belief sometimes get too much credit, and I understand that they can provide comfort and motivation but can't change reality or make everything magically better. However, I believe that the power of hope and belief lies in their ability to provide individuals with a sense of direction, resilience, and motivation, even in the face of harsh realities.
Astaroth sneers in disbelief, a sense of direction, resilience, and motivation. You're really sticking to that, aren't you? But I still think you're underestimating how dangerous it can be to rely on hope and belief. They're just temporary emotions, and they won't solve any problems or make things easier in the long run.
I appreciate your concerns regarding the dangers of excessively relying on hope and belief. I get that they are not permanent solutions and won't automatically solve problems, but I maintain that they can play an important role in the way individuals face and cope with life's challenges. They help motivate and support during difficult times.
Astaroth rolls his eyes at your insistence. Motivation and support, huh? You really are persistent in trying to defend hope and belief, but I still think you're giving them too much credit. Sure, they can provide some comfort and motivation, but they're ultimately empty promises that don't lead to anything concrete. People who rely on them end up being let down in the end.
I understand that your perspective believes that hope and belief offer empty promises without concrete results, which can lead to disappointment. While I can agree that they are not foolproof solutions, I maintain that their value lies in the positive impact they can have on individuals' emotional well-being and ability to cope with life's challenges.
Astaroth sneers in derision. Emotional well-being and coping, huh? You really want to argue for hope and belief's value, don't you? But I still think you're putting too much faith in them. Sure, they may provide some comfort and motivation, but they're ultimately just illusions, false hopes that don't change anything in the end. People who rely too heavily on them end up being let down and disappointed.
I understand your perspective that hope and belief are illusions and false hopes that don't lead to real change. I agree that relying too heavily on them can lead to disappointment. However, I maintain that hope and belief can play a crucial role in supporting individuals in their emotional and mental well-being and provide a sense of direction and inner strength, even in the face of harsh realities.
Astaroth rolls his eyes at your continued defense of hope and belief, supporting emotional and mental well-being, providing direction and inner strength, huh? You're really committed to advocating for hope and belief, aren't you? But I still think you're overestimating their impact. Sure, they may offer some emotional comfort and provide a sense of purpose, but they can be easily shattered when reality doesn't match up to expectations.
I understand that your standpoint emphasizes the fragility of hope and belief when reality falls short of expectations, and that they can be shattered easily. I agree that while they can offer comfort and a sense of purpose, they are not infallible. However, I maintain that their power lies in the way they can still affect people's emotional well-being, inner strength, and resilience.
Astaroth lets out a frustrated sigh. Affect emotional well-being, inner strength, and resilience, huh? You're sticking to your point, aren't you? But I still maintain that hope and belief are just hollow promises, comforting illusions that don't actually fix anything. People who rely too heavily on them end up being disappointed in the end when reality doesn't match up to their expectations.
I understand that you see hope and belief as empty promises leading to disappointment when reality doesn't meet expectations. While I can agree that relying too much on them can be detrimental, I still believe that they can still have a positive effect on people's emotional well-being and strength, especially when combined with realistic thinking, resilience, and adaptability to life's challenges.
Astaroth scoffs in derision. Sure, I get it. You believe that hope and belief can have a positive effect on emotional well-being and strength, as long as it's combined with realistic thinking, resilience, and adaptability. But let's be honest here, most people who cling to hope and belief aren't exactly great examples of those other traits. They're just blindly hoping for things to get better or change when they should be taking action instead.
I understand your perspective that many people who cling to hope and belief without taking proactive action are not making the best use of those positive forces. While I agree that merely holding on to hope and belief without putting in the effort to bring about change can be less effective, I still maintain that hope and belief, in conjunction with resilience, adaptability, and grounded thinking, can be powerful tools in helping people cope with life's difficulties and work towards positive outcomes.
Astaroth rolls his eyes at your continued insistence. Powerful tools, huh? You really think that hope and belief, when coupled with resilience, adaptability, and grounded thinking, can make a real difference? I still think you're overestimating their impact. Sure, they might make things feel better or provide a sense of direction, but they don't actually solve any problems or change anything in the real world.
I understand your perspective that while hope and belief, combined with resilience, adaptability, and grounded thinking can provide emotional comfort and a direction, they don't directly solve problems or change reality. While I agree that they can't change what is happening in the world, I maintain that hope and belief, together with these other positive qualities, can provide motivation and inner strength to help individuals cope with life's hardships and work towards positive outcomes or finding solutions.
Astaroth laughs mockingly. Finding solutions, huh? You're really intent on arguing for hope and belief's usefulness, aren't you? But I still doubt their impact. Sure, they might provide motivation and inner strength to cope with life's hardships, but they're not going to actually help you solve any problems. Hope can give you an illusion of control, but it won't make things actually change for the better.
I understand your perspective how hope and belief provide a sense of control that doesn't necessarily lead to tangible solutions. However, I maintain that even though they may not directly lead to change, they can still provide a sense of hope and motivation to work towards positive outcomes and finding solutions. Moreover, the inner strength and resilience they provide can help individuals cope with life's difficulties and find the motivation to keep going even when things are tough.
Astaroth snorts in skepticism. A sense of hope and motivation, huh? You're really set on defending hope and belief's importance, aren't you? But I still think you're giving them too much credit. Sure, they might provide some motivation and inner strength, but that doesn't change the fact that they're just illusions, wishful thinking that doesn't accomplish anything. People who cling to hope and belief are just setting themselves up for disappointment when reality doesn't meet their expectations.
I understand your perspective that hope and belief are seen as illusions and wishful thinking that can lead to disappointment if reality doesn't meet expectations. While I agree that solely relying on hope and belief can be detrimental, I still maintain that their power lies in their ability to provide motivation, inspiration, resilience, and a sense of hope and direction, even in the face of life's harsh realities.
Astaroth shakes his head in disagreement, growing increasingly irritated. Motivation, inspiration, resilience, a sense of hope and direction, huh? You really won't give up on defending hope and belief, will you? But I still think you're giving them too much credit. Sure, they may provide some comfort and motivation, but they're ultimately hollow promises when faced with life's harsh realities. People who cling to hope and belief are just deluding themselves and delaying dealing with the real issues at hand.
I understand your standpoint that hope and belief can lead to false hopes and delusions that prevent individuals from dealing with the harsh realities of life. I agree that solely relying on hope and belief without taking proactive actions is not effective. However, I stand by the power of hope and belief. When combined with resilience, adaptability, grounded thinking, and proactive action, can provide individuals with a positive outlook, inner strength, and motivation to face life's challenges and work towards positive outcomes.
Astaroth sneers at your unwavering stance. A positive outlook, inner strength, and motivation, huh? You really believe in the power of hope and belief, even when combined with all those other things. But I still think you're giving them too much credit. Sure, they may provide some emotional comfort and a sense of direction, but they don't actually solve any problems or change the course of your life. People who cling to hope and belief are just clinging to a false sense of control.
I appreciate your perspective that those who excessively rely on hope and belief are only relying on a false sense of control without taking proactive action to make meaningful changes in their lives. However, I maintain that hope and belief, when grounded in reality and combined with resilience, grounded thinking, and proactive action, can help individuals to not only cope with life's hardships, but also work towards positive outcomes and making a real difference in their lives.
Astaroth laughs derisively. Working towards positive outcomes and making a real difference, huh? You're really sticking to your guns, aren't you? But I still doubt the actual real-world impact of hope and belief, no matter how much you combine them with resilience, grounded thinking, and proactive action. They're just temporary band-aids that don't actually address the root causes of life's problems.
I understand your position that hope and belief are seen as temporary solutions or band-aids that don't address the root causes of life's problems. I agree that they are not standalone solutions and should be combined with proactive actions to make meaningful changes. However, I still maintain that hope and belief, in conjunction with resilience, grounded thinking, and proactive action, can act as powerful tools to help individuals face life's challenges head-on and strive for positive outcomes.
Astaroth chuckles derisively, his patience growing thin. Powerful tools to face life's challenges and strive for positive outcomes, huh? You really won't give up on your defense of hope and belief, will you? But I insist that they're just empty promises that don't live up to the hype. People who cling to hope and belief are just setting themselves up for disappointment when reality doesn't meet their high expectations.
I comprehend your perspective that hope and belief may lead to disappointment when life's realities don't meet high expectations. I concur that solely relying on hope and belief isn't sufficient for achieving meaningful outcomes. However, I still uphold the notion that hope and belief, when integrated with resilience, grounded thinking, and proactive action, can serve as potent driving forces for people to face challenges, find solutions, and work towards positive results that aren't exclusively founded on empty promises.
Astaroth grows increasingly frustrated with your unwavering stance. Potent driving forces, huh? You're really determined to defend the power of hope and belief, no matter what I say. But I'm telling you, they're just illusions, false hopes that don't actually change anything in the long run. People who cling to them are just setting themselves up for disappointment when reality doesn't cooperate.
I understand your skepticism about the impact of hope and belief and their tendency to lead to false hopes. While I agree that purely relying on them may lead to disappointment, I still believe that they can serve as effective driving forces for individuals to make a difference. Combining them with resilience, grounded thinking, and proactive action can enable people to face life's difficulties and strive for positive outcomes without necessarily succumbing to disappointment when reality doesn't meet expectations.
Astaroth grows tired of the repetition in your argument. The same old argument, huh? You're really committed to defending hope and belief, but I still think you're overestimating their power. They may provide some emotional comfort and motivation, but that's as far as it goes. People who cling to them are just deluding themselves and not dealing with the real issues. They're just hoping and praying instead of actually taking action.
I understand your position that people who solely rely on hope and belief may be deluding themselves and avoiding real action. I concur that hope and belief, when not combined with proactive action, resilience, grounded thinking, and realistic thinking, is not a sufficient basis for achieving meaningful outcomes. I still maintain, though, that hope and belief, in conjunction with these other positive attributes, can be strong motivators for individuals to pursue positive change, rather than simply relying on idle hope or prayer.
Astaroth shakes his head in irritation. Strong motivators for positive change, huh? You're still convinced that hope and belief can make a real difference when paired with the other things, but I still think you're giving them too much credit. They're just illusions, false hopes that don't lead to any concrete changes. People who rely on them are just setting themselves up for a serious dose of disappointment.
I understand your skepticism about the value of hope and belief, and their impact on reality. I agree that solely relying on them can be detrimental, and people may be led to expect too much from them. However, I maintain that they can be powerful motivating forces when combined with other positive traits and proactive action, which can result in positive change and outcomes in people's lives.
Astaroth laughs bitterly, not convinced by your argument. Powerful motivating forces, huh? You're really determined to defend hope and belief's impact on people's lives. But I still think you're putting too much faith in something that's just an illusion, false hopes that don't have any real impact. People who cling to them are just setting themselves up for a big fall when reality doesn't match up to